Happy Thor's Day. Let's continue with the tale of Ragnar's sons. Chapter 3 of the tale of Ragnar's sons was translated by Ben Waggoner. At that time, a king named Ayla ruled over Northumbria. When he heard that a host had come to his kingdom, he summoned a huge army and went out and attacked them with overwhelming force. And there was a great and hard battle there. On the outside of his clothes, King Ragnar wore the silk tunic which Aslak gave him at their parting. Because the defending forces were so large that no one might withstand them, nearly all his folk fell there, but he himself went 4 times right through King Ayla's ranks, and no iron pierced his silk shirt. He was finally captured and placed in an enclosure full of snakes, and the snakes didn't want to come near him. King Ayla saw that no iron had bitten him by day when they fought each other, and now none of the snakes wanted to injure him. He ordered the clothing which Ragnar had worn outermost that day to be stripped off him. The snakes immediately latched onto him everywhere, and he laid down his life with great valour. When the sons of King Ragnar heard the news, they went west to England and fought with King Ayla. And because neither Ivar nor any of his folk would fight, and the defenders were more numerous, they suffered a defeat there and fled to their ships. With matters as they stood, they went home to Denmark. But afterwards, Ivar was in England and went to meet King Ayla and asked him for compensation for his father. And since King Ayla saw that Ivar would not fight together with his brothers against him, it seemed safe to reach a settlement with him. Ivar asked the king to give him, as compensation for his father, as much land as he might span with the largest old bull's hide, because he said that it would not be good for him to go home to face his brothers without a settlement. This didn't seem treacherous to Ayla, and they bound themselves to this agreement. Ivar now took a rawhide and had it stretched as much as possible. He had the hide cut into the finest cord, and then he split the hair side from the flesh side. Then he had the cord drawn around a flat field and marked a foundation all around the outside. He raised up strong city walls there, and this city is now called York. He made friends with all the folk of the land, and especially with the chieftains, and so it came to be that all the chieftains called him and his brothers trustworthy. Then he sent an invitation to his brothers and said that right then they would have the best chance to avenge their father if they came with a host to England. When they heard that, they called up their forces and sailed for England. When Ivar became aware of this, he went at once to meet King Ayla and said that he would not hide such news from him, but he could not fight against his own brothers. However, he would go to meet with them and try to reach a settlement. The king accepted that. Ivar came to meet his brothers and encouraged them to avenge their father, and a little later went to King Ayla and said that they were so savage and furious that they wanted to fight more than anything else. What Ivar had done appeared to the king to be great faithfulness. The king moved against the brothers with his army, and when they came together, many chieftains turned from the king to Ivar. The king was overcome by overwhelming force. The better part of his army fell, and he himself was captured. Ivar and the brothers now remembered how their father had been tortured. They had an eagle carved on Ayla's back, and then had all the ribs severed from the backbone with a sword, so that the lungs were pulled out. So said the skald Sigvart in his praise poem for King Canute. And Ivar, who resided at York, ordered Ayla's back carved by an eagle. After this battle, Ivar made himself king over that portion of England that his kinfolk had held before. He had two brothers who were the sons of a concubine, one named Ingvar and the other Husto. They tortured the holy King Edmund on Ivar's orders, and then Ivar took over his kingdom. The sons of Lodbrook went raiding into many lands, England and Wales and France, and as far as Lombardy. It is said that the most distant place they went was when they conquered the city called Luna, and at one time they intended to go to Rome and conquer it. Their raid has become the most famous tale in the Norse tongue in all the Northlands. When they came back to Denmark, their own kingdom, they divided up their lands among themselves. Bjorn Ironside took the kingdom of Uppsala and all Sweden and their dependencies. Sigurd Snake in the Eye had Zeeland and Skane and Halland and all Viken and Agdar as far as Lindesnes and the greater part of Uppland. Vitzurg had Jutland and Wenland. Sigurd Snake in the Eye married Blea, the daughter of King Ayla. Their son was Canute, who was called Horder Canute, and who took over the rule of Zeeland, Skane and Halland after his father, but Viken broke away from him then. He had one son who was named Gorm. He was named after his foster father, the sons of Canute the foundling, who ruled all the lands of the sons of Ragnar while they were away raiding. Gorm Knutson was the largest and strongest of all men, and the most accomplished man in all affairs, but he was not as wise as his forebears had been.